सो वेलकम टू द एपिसोड 1 ऑफ द रिजल शो गाइज एंड दिस इज़ अ पॉडकास्ट जो कि आज मैं अपना लॉन्च कर रहा हूँ. वट इज़ दिस पॉडकास्ट? सो दिस विल बी अ ग्रोथ पॉडकास्ट जहाँ पे आप आओगे और रोज़ 1% ग्रो करोगे एंड यू विल बी अ 37 टाइम्स बेटर पर्सन देन यू वर प्रीवियसली इन 2022. सो टुडे आई हैव अंकित जैन जो कि एक MSBA स्टूडेंट रह चुके हैं UC Irvine में एंड ही इज़ करेंटली वर्किंग एट Mckinsey एंड आई हैव पुट द लिंक ऑफ द पॉडकास्ट ऑन स्पॉटिफाई इन द लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन बिलो. आप वहाँ पे स्पॉटिफाई पे जाके सुन सकते हो अगर आपको वीडियो नहीं देखनी है तो. एंड या हम अंकित जैन की जर्नी कवर करेंगे यहाँ पे, कैसे वो मैकेंसी में गए, कैसे वो MSBA में आए. सो इफ़ यू आर इंटरेस्टेड इन द ग्रोथ पॉडकास्ट जो कि मेरा एपिसोड 1 है आज, सो कीप लिसनिंग. So, hi Ankit. First of all, thank you so much for taking out time and coming to the podcast. And I know you, but not everybody does. So, you can give a brief intro about you. Where are you from? What are you doing right now?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Rijul, for having me. I'm happy to be here. My name is Ankit, as he probably mentioned. So I was at UCI. I was pursuing my MSBA program just before I started my job at Mckinsey and Company right now. I work as a knowledge analyst. I work with a lot of clients and help them out with the data needs and kind of the visualization, all those things. I'm more on the data analytics portion of things right now, and I just started in December. This is actually my first job right out of college. I went to UCI for my undergrad degree and went directly to UCI again for my master's degree. Before that, I lived in Dubai for almost 15 years.
Oh,
Um, originally from, I'm originally from India. I was born in Bombay,
okay.
but then I moved to the city of Dubai at the age of 5, and then I did my schooling there, and then I came to US for college.
Great. So, you're from Dubai, you said. And natively, you're from India? Oh,
Yes, I was born in Bombay. I was born in Mumbai.
okay.
Then I moved. Then around the age of 5, I kind of moved to Dubai.
Okay, great. And so let's start from the bachelor's degree you did at UCI. So, what major
Yeah.
did you did in, and like why did you choose a specific major? Because I get a lot of questions that people want to come to like UCI for the bachelor's degree, but they're confused
Yeah.
of like what should we study. So you can give a
Yeah.
brief intro, like what should they go forward with?
Yeah, for sure. So, like a lot of people, I was pursuing something which I'm not pursuing at the
Yeah.
moment right now for sure. I came in. So before I came to UCI, I was actually hoping to pursue architecture. Because I was born like in Dubai, you could see a lot
Yeah,
of
yeah.
buildings, and I was really fascinated by all the buildings over there. But I had actually even applied for a lot of colleges here for my undergrad for with architecture, and we had actually visited like Virginia Tech and Cal Poly Slow like very early on. But then I think something in me just told me that wasn't the job for me. So I actually came to UCI as an electrical engineering major, which is funny because I don't have anything to do
Yeah.
with electronics anymore. But yeah, so I came to UCI as an electrical engineering major, and then slowly so UCI gives you the opportunity of taking many different classes like economics, like different general education classes. And as I took the classes, I was really fascinated by like programming as well as economics a lot.
Okay.
Economics was something which I studied even during my schooling. So I went to an Indian curriculum school, and over there like we had to choose streams in grade 11 and
Yeah,
12
yeah.
essentially. Like we were trying to put in stream. So I had taken science, but I had taken economics along with it, and economics
Okay.
was one of my favorite subjects at the time.
Got it.
So I was hoping to always do a minor in economics, but then as I found out about the different majors at UCI, I switched my majors to something called Business Information Management, or commonly called BIM.
Okay.
And so I did that. And I also added another major of informatics. So I did a double major there. So I did informatics and BIM. So informatics is more of the UI design, coding aspect of things. So I got a lot of exposure to like programming, as well as like how software is designed and all of the other aspects.
Okay.
Whereas business information management kind of gave me the idea of like how business runs, such as like organizational behavior, all of those things. And I think just talking to my friends all around it at UCI who were also pursuing different majors, like I had friends pursuing uh, computer science engineering, then I had friends pursuing like software
Yeah.
engineering, biomedical engineering, also biology, and I had some people pursuing business administration, business economics. Some of them were exploring cognitive sciences. So I had a bunch of different friends, and talking to them and like why they were pursuing their respective careers and majors kind of gave me an idea of like what I'm actually interested in. And
Okay.
then I had actually taken my first economics class, my very first quarter at UCI in when I was in undergrad. And after that, I think as we went on, by the end of my first year at UCI, I was like pretty sure that I want to change my major then,
Okay.
and I did more research, and then that's how
So,
pretty much
like,
we
at
got
what
started.
point did you switch on to the major? Like, what was that the course you did and which interested you, or just like an intuition that, hey, I want to switch majors and go to the business side?
So there was this one class which I took, which is a complete electronic engineering class, which was in my third quarter at UCI, which was I think
Yeah.
mid of my first year. Over there, like I actually did enjoy the class a lot. I was definitely learning a lot, but I did not see myself doing it long term at all.
Okay.
Like I
Got
did
it.
not see myself doing this long term. And I actually like when the professor was actually teaching us about like how the software can like how the circuits connect to each other, logic gates and all those things. I kept on remembering like how we could possibly apply that to businesses,
Got it.
and I think that's what kind of like clicked in me that I always wanted to switch. And funny enough, there was not I went to this club event in that same quarter, and they had spoken about BIM. I didn't know about BIM till that
Hmm.
point, and I think when I found out about it, I researched a lot, and it was all like pretty much like after that. I think what I did was UCI, I think really helps making like a 4 year plan, like essentially what you have to
Yeah.
do. So I essentially had to get my like degree now in 3 years because pretty much the first year was almost done.
Yeah.
So I had to get my degree in 3 years, but I figured out that not only can I get my degree in 3 years, I can also do another major along with it. That's why when I kind of planned it out, it was pretty chaotic because there was so
Yeah.
much going on, I guess. And I think one thing which I will definitely say, like when you are looking for a major, do something which excites you and you actually think about it more because at the end, if you're not going to be enjoying what you're doing, you're not really going to get the best out of it. And if you want to contribute towards a company or towards a job which you're doing, if you just pick something which is going to pay well or like what society wants, I
Yeah.
guess,
The
then
peer
that's
pressure.
not really
Yeah.
exactly. You're not going to get the best benefit or be the best version of yourself there. So I would say go like keep yourself happy at the end because that's supposed to be like
Yep.
your major is supposed to be lifelong. But like people switch their like careers all the
Yeah.
time. Like when I actually went for my master's degree, I saw a lot of people coming in to like switch their
From
like switch
chemical
careers.
manufacturing background. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like people. So like learning is lifelong process. It's not like if you choose a major right now, you have to stick to that. If you like it, awesome. But like if you don't, if let's say in the worst case you don't like it, you can learn like things to like in the there's like learning is
Hmm.
there's no like age limit for that. You can always learn and kind of switch careers
Yeah.
if you really want to. I would say the initial step is the most difficult one,
Got it. Okay.
but once you put your like foot in the pond, you should be pretty good.
Got it. And then you switched on to the MSBA program at UCI. So I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, like people saying that, hey, should we come to MDS as well as MSBA? So I myself got an admit from MSBA too when I was coming to UCI,
Yeah.
but eventually I chose a data science program. So can you give me a brief overview, like anyone who is coming for the MSBA program, like if there are any pros and cons of the program? And then I can state about the MDS because I think MSBA might have something.
So I would say like if you're trying to go into like the more technical industry and you want to go for like the complete machine learning
Then
engineering
go to
aspect of
MDS.
things, I would say
Hmm.
MDS like MSDS is better just because you're actually going to get more exposure to the technical side of things. Whereas if you're trying to go into something which is not completely technical, because a lot of people they might want to do something with data,
Yeah.
but they don't particularly enjoy coding.
Got it.
Now, data analytics and business analytics is not just
Yeah.
about coding. It's actually extracting insights from what data analysis you see, like kind of seeing, okay, this is a
Yeah.
visualization I've made right now. How is it actually useful to this
Got
business?
it.
So it's not just about like, okay, we got like, not like this bunch
Hmm.
of code. Whereas in data science, you actually have a reason to write the code and you're making a model for something. And there's some of that in data analytics too and business analytics. But I would say in data science, it's way more and way more developed. And like, I think technology plays a bigger as like, not, I won't say like it doesn't play in MSBA, but I think coding and programming is way more developed. And I think the scientific side of things is more
Yeah.
developed in the MSDS. Whereas MSBA is more on, I would say, the
Overall
business side
development.
of things.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like you have classes for marketing, you have classes for supply chain management. I think that's something which is different in the MSBA program.
Got it.
And it's like I wouldn't say there's like one like it's not like a glove. Like if you're doing MSDS, you can definitely do what MSB people do and kind of interchangeable. But in my experience, what I found myself like right now, I am using a lot of things which I learned in the MSB program in my career right now
Okay.
already, and it's been only 2 months since I started. So whatever knowledge you get is going to be relevant, and every company works in a different way.
Okay.
So you have to adjust to the company essentially usually and apply skills what you have learned, because your college is going to teach you everything what's necessary, but it's not going to be the same as like
But you
what
apply.
another
Yeah.
college. Exactly. So I would say like go for if you go you can't go wrong with either of those in terms of pros and cons. Yeah, like I would say MSBA has more business side of things, so it's a little bit more and also the technical side, so it's a little bit more
Yeah.
well-rounded. Whereas MSD is more
Yeah.
scientific, and you can probably speak better to that than me. But I think that's what I would say in terms of pros and cons.
Got it. So I think MDS program is like very, very good. The curriculum is very good, but the only con which I have been talking about like recently is that you don't get to choose the courses which you want to study. So in the MDS program, you have a fixed curriculum which they give you that
Okay.
these three are the courses and you have to study them. You cannot like drop or like choose another course. So I think that's a
Okay.
con which we were like struggling to because like it's the first batch.
I think it also it's a very new
Yeah,
program. It's not developed
we are the
yet.
first batch. So
Uh, Yeah, exactly. So MSB also like we were the third or the fourth, I think, cohort
yeah, yeah,
ever, and I would say like we had a bunch of it. Like eventually by so for the first 2 quarters, they choose the classes for us. It's core curriculum classes, which is there, and winter quarter also you have some like core
yeah.
curriculum classes, but you have like choice of electives too, and then spring quarter is only electives. So you start choosing classes by the end, like you go. But the one thing I would say was like that in the beginning, I know that they didn't have those many options.
Yeah.
In fact, like when I talk to people this year who are in the MSB cohort, compared to like when I was there, they have like few more electives which we didn't have
So
at
it
all.
gets better with time. Yeah,
It gets better with time for sure. So definitely, and I think what I would say like some of the both the programs, because I know the person who runs the MSTS program, Brian, he was something which he was really big on was feedback, and I think he really does try to incorporate feedback how much ever he can. Usually students do, I think usually students do give a lot of feedback when it comes
yep,
to classes and figuring stuff out, and they do appreciate it. And the thing is like at times they have a lot of feedback coming to them. They try to incorporate the major points of it every year, little by little. It's going to take time. They can't incorporate all of it at
yep.
once because it's a process. But I would say it gets better. I know the first one is I would say it's like probably the
Yeah.
hardest just because you guys are brand new
Yeah.
and they're also brand new to it. So,
I think that
but honestly, it's a great program. I've heard.
yeah, the courses are like really, really good and tough. But even I think the only small con which I could find that you couldn't choose the courses which you want to study. But I think it will get better with the new batch coming in. So we would be able to help them. And
Right.
like switching from the professional world, I wanted to ask like when you came to UCI, were there any cultural shock or like any difficulties you faced, like students face when they come to the US?
So I think for me, one of the biggest changes when I came to UCI was being independent. I think because I came to UCI when I just turned 18.
Yeah,
And this was my first time
yeah,
like, living away from home. So I think that itself it was a kind of a shock. I was very nervous about kind of coming almost 8,000 miles
yeah,
away from home, pretty much. And, like most of my friends here were able to go home. Like they could take like a 1 hour flight, or they could go home very easily. Um, a lot of us international students don't have that liberty. We can't go home like every other weekend. So that was something which initially I struggled a lot with just because I was not used to being independent, I guess. And I think as time went on, I definitely became more independent. I was able to, I mean, now I'm living alone again. So
yeah.
now it's a different lifestyle. We're kind of becoming an adult. I think that was my first time being exposed to like just being independent. But
So how did you handle
I
that?
think
Like how did you come out of it?
I was very lucky to have a lot of friends around me
Yeah,
because I think pretty much all of us were like freshmen at the time, so we're all pretty
yeah,
new to. And my roommates were also international students, so we all kind of relied on each other for support, and we used to talk to each other like pretty much like if we were struggling. Now, in terms of just American culture, yeah, American culture is very different from I would say like Indian culture. I grew up in a typical Indian household, and
with
also
just
like
people all around.
in
Yeah,
yeah, they're pretty much like Dubai. I went to a school called Indian High School,
yeah.
so it's pretty
I've
much
heard.
all
Yeah,
Indians in that school. So I was actually so like when we came here, there was not like I was not seeing just Indians. I was seeing a diverse group of people. which is really good because you weren't exposed to that earlier on.
Got it.
So I think that's something which was really good. And I think seeing everyone around us kind of in the same boat. And I think the one thing in US is that people are willing to help if you ask
Yep.
for it. I think that's the one thing which I learned is like, if you're struggling with something, talk to people about it and ask for help.
Yeah.
Because if you don't ask for help, it's basically confirming that you're not going to get
Yeah.
any help right now. So I think that's something which I kind of learned as I went. Like if you're struggling with something, ask for it. And you're also going to be, as soon as you like grow more here, you're going to become more self-sufficient and you will kind of learn more as well. So I think the more you ask for help, the more you learn around you. So you become more self-sufficient. And that honestly is what's going to get you to the next level.
You said asking for help. Like not a many students like would feel comfortable that going to a friend and saying that, hey, I'm struggling, can you help me? So how do you actually ask for help? Like if anybody is struggling right now, how do they reach out?
I think for me personally, I was very lucky to have some good friends who I had a very good open stream of communication with. Like even so, I was when I was at UCI, my except for my first year, my second, third, and fourth year, I was part of the UCI's Bollywood dance team, Zaman.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
So over there, I had a lot of my close friends are from that team because we used to spend hours and hours together on practice. We used to basically practice, like during winter court especially, along with classes and everything, we used to practice from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. every day.
Got it.
Pretty much. So we're spending a lot of time with each other and then we're flying all around the nation to go to compete at different locations. So some of my closest friends were like pretty much from that team and like I met a lot of people through the people in that team. So most of like them, we had a pretty like open stream of communication that if we were struggling with something, we were very open about it and we should rely on each other. And a lot of us were taking classes together. So like, let's say if we're taking classes together, we're going to be sharing notes with each other. We're going to study together. And I think just having a good support system around you, even if it's like academic, so like make friends in the academic zone. Like you don't have to talk to them about personal stuff.
Yeah.
You can just talk to them about studies if you want to. And like, you guys will have that kind of bond. Some people you have the personal kind of bond.
Yeah.
So build that personal bond. And I think knowing like how to kind of connect with the people around you. And I think kind of going back to your earlier question, how I kind of went through the stage of becoming independent was kind of putting myself outside my comfort zone. My comfort zone was definitely like kind of sit in one place and do my own thing. But I think kind of pushing the barrier and thinking like, okay, we should talk to more people now. And
let's get out and do some stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm kind of trying to do that too. I just moved to a new city 2 weeks ago now.
Oh.
So I'm trying to like make friends here too now.
Okay.
So it's a different experience. I live in,
where are you right now?
yeah. So I moved to the city of Dallas right now. I was living in Irvine for pretty much 5 years, and due to once I got this job, I was moving to Dallas. So so far I'm like still again it's kind of similar stage because I'm moving to pretty much a new phase of my life instead of where I was a student all my life so far, and now I'm actually moving to being a working professional.
Yeah.
So transition is what's going on. I'm in the transition phase right now, and I think the same thing I'm trying to apply what I'd done that time too. That like putting myself out there and being more comfortable talking to people, and I think that's how you probably meet more people and make more friends, I guess.
Got it. So basically, make more friends, get out, get to some clubs, participate, and ask.
That's easier said than done because honestly, it's like getting out there. Try to find things of your interest because the thing is, there's going to be so many clubs, but people will. There are a lot of clubs. I would say specifically in most colleges at UCI. Not most colleges like UCI, sorry. They have a lot of clubs and you might get overwhelmed with the thought like, oh my God, which club should I join? I'm interested in so many things. Go with your first instinct and you might like the people there, you might not like the people there. So go where you feel most comfortable and welcome. And if you're not feeling welcome there, it's okay. There's another place for you which might be better. It might have not been the right fit for you. So, and it's easier said than done. Like making friends it's always a difficult task in a new city or like new area. So I would say just be open and don't restrict yourself when it comes to like being open to new adventures, I would say. So let's say if you're trying, you don't have to do the same thing, which is something interesting to you. Like I remember when I had started at UCI, I was, of course, dance is something which I was already into. So I was already going to go for that. But then I was also really interested in trying out archery. I never have done archery in my life. But
there's a cool archery club.
Exactly. It just fascinated me like, okay, let's try something new. So
and this was in your undergraduation, right?
Yeah. In my master's was 99% online due to COVID.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we did start having in-person classes by, I would say, by the last 2 quarters we started having in-person, like at least one class was in person. So we were able to meet, and I think me and my cohort, a lot of us were really close to each other. So because I think we shared the experience of everything being online.
Yeah.
So we used to like sit over Zoom sometimes and like work together. So it's definitely not. I mean, we didn't. I would say like having the entire program on Zoom was an experience on its own, and I think we learned a lot with it to get adjusted to the technological world, because everything is become like a lot of jobs have become remote lately.
Yes.
Like a lot of people are working from home.
You are working
So
from home too, right?
I'm working for in a hybrid
Hybrid,
model
got
right now. Yeah, so I can go to the office. I can like right now, depending on what the like project requires at the time. But yeah, like it depends on the day, I
Got it.
guess.
Got
So
it.
there's nothing specific. But a lot of people are working from home, and I think we got the luxury of doing it from home and kind of doing it on our terms this
Yeah.
time. I'm very lucky that I have the experience of going to UCI for undergrad, so I already experienced just UCI in general, and then I was able to like experience the online side of things with a completely different group of people. And I was very lucky that I was able to make friends with people online too, that we were able to talk to each other and kind of connect on different things and help each other out with classes again. So we met in person, like once that we got vaccinated and all that stuff. We started meeting in person, and we should study together in the study rooms and stuff. But we always have that friendship, and I think that's what made like learn talking to the people around you. You'll eventually become friends because you're spending so much time with them.
Got
And
it.
sometimes you might not become friends, that's fine, but you still have like a sort of a relationship with them. So you have some sort of like not necessarily trust, but you also have like some sort of bond with them, which you
Yeah.
can like use for support or rely for support. And I think that's how you kind of start building on things. So meet new people, and I think when you have group projects, like talk to the other people. Like don't just like when you're working, work, but also try to like make like a sort of relationship with them, because that's only going to make it easy for you to work with them.
Yeah. Got it. And like switching to the professional stuff, so you have done your master's at UCI, so you're nearly done.
Yeah.
And how did you approach? Like you're working at Mckinsey right now, and like did you do any previous internship, or did you have any work experience before like going to Mckinsey, or like you were a fresher?
So I'm pretty much this is my first job right out of college. I have internship experiences.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Like your internship experience, that was in undergraduate, right?
Pretty
Okay.
much, yeah.
So like
In graduate school, I didn't do any internships.
got it. So like how did you approach your internship? Such like where are there any strategies to do so right now? LinkedIn or Glassdoor or any particular strategy which you followed, which might have helped you in getting an internship?
For internships, I honestly didn't do a lot of internships. Most of my internships were through like connections, which we had through like we had connections and stuff network wise. But I would say I had done a lot of the networking part of things for my actual full-time job search.
Got it.
I think that's probably what I think during internship search, I wouldn't definitely say my path was correct, because I went typically just for directly applying. I didn't really network with people a lot myself, and whatever I got was because I was able to connect with someone directly who I
Got
met in
it, yeah.
person, and the opportunities there. So I think at UCI, my undergrad, I had an internship which I got through Handshake.
Yeah.
Handshake is something which is really used for students specifically and international students, because you have the filter of like they offer
CPT or
OPT,
OPT, yeah.
so you can definitely use that as a good source. And LinkedIn also has some, but I would say going to the career fairs, I personally didn't make the best use of the career fairs when I was
Did you
there.
guys have virtual career fairs, or did companies come? Because we had a
In
virtual.
undergrad, I had in person.
Oh.
Undergrad, because it was COVID,
Yeah.
so I had in person. And I think they worked very differently from virtual ones.
Virtual
And
ones,
like,
like there's no point of like being a career fair, because like everybody's connecting, but you are not actually meeting the person. Like when you actually meet the person, you can straight away like make an impression from your resume or your talking
Yeah.
skills. But on Zoom, you just have to like everyone say in the same script and hey, we are interested in the internship and that also. So I think in person are way better than the virtual career fairs.
I would differ a little bit on that, just because in person there's a lot of nerves which aren't there
Yeah,
online
yeah.
necessarily. Just because when we had it in, so I have experience of both of
Okay.
them. So in person, usually when we used to like say I'm approaching a company, they have huge lines. They're like
Yep.
bunch of people standing in the line with their resumes, and you reach the end of the line. You have basically less than 30 seconds.
Got it. Yeah.
And you can barely make an impression, because they'll be like, oh, the next person's coming in, we need to rush right now. and they need to we need to go quickly. So you don't, and then like they don't even take your resume at the time. They're like, okay, this is a link which you apply with. Go apply
Yeah.
go apply online. So that's typically like what happens. Now my experience with online was like we had to like book appointments with them. You can talk to
Yeah.
them directly for like 5
15
10
minutes
minutes
slots.
slot,
Yeah.
and you have the opportunity to make an individual impression
Got
over
it.
there. Like you can, I know it's over Zoom, so it's a different thing, but you're able to make that individual impression on them, even though it's online, and you're able to talk to them about like, okay, this is my experience, and so we have in MSBA we have something called Pro Seminar where we like basically have a career advice, like a career advising class essentially,
Who was the career
and
advisor? Jacqueline David, right?
ours is Brittany Denno,
Oh,
so she
yours was
was.
different. Got it.
Yeah. So we had Brittany, and she had given us some really good advice, like what all we need to think about before going into a career fair. I think I'm just going to say what I remember. I think before a typical, at least with the virtual ones, was make sure you get their email at the
Yeah.
end and you follow up after, and then you talk to them about the internships. Have your position statement ready. Um, don't don't oversell yourself, but don't undersell yourself either. So research the company before and see what roles they have. So instead of them telling you the roles, be like, okay, I'm interested in this specific role. You tell me more about it. So you're kind of prepared. I think that's how honestly I would approach even in-person things, because you're going to be more, if you're more prepared and you know about like what you want with the
Yeah.
company, it's going to be much easier to get like going to go around and get things done there. Whereas now if you go to like a career fair completely unprepared and just talk to a company like, hey,
Yeah.
I want to
Yeah.
get a job here.
So do your research.
They're going to be like, exactly, do your research and show that you've taken initiative. And I think that also leaves a very lasting impression on like companies, regardless if being in person or online. Show that you have taken the initiative to like learn more about them, and you already have done the first step. Now, ask them like, okay, can you help me out for the next step right
Yeah.
now? Because then you first covered the first ground. You're gonna save a lot of time for them too, so you can talk about their job too. And I think one biggest thing I would say is like even when you're networking over a career fair or like in like or LinkedIn or anything, don't make the relationship with the people transactional.
Yeah.
So people on LinkedIn can pretty much tell when you're just using them
Yeah.
for a referral. And that's the biggest hindrance to why people will give you a referral. If they know that if they're being used,
Yeah.
they're not going to give
Yeah.
you one. So I would say like instead of just hunting for a referral, actually talk to people and build a relationship and actually networking. That's why networking takes long, like to build a relationship with them and actually
Start
get
early.
to know them. Exactly. And like kind of get to know their career well and why they are in that position. And 90% of the time they will, if they're comfortable, then you can ask for it. If the referral is something which you're really hoping for. But at the end, like a referral is always good to have on a resume, but it's not the end all
Yep.
be all. I got my McKinsey job without a referral, and I was very lucky to be given this opportunity. So I would say a referral is always good to have, but it's not always necessary to have.
Got it. And like talking about the Mckinsey job, so like how did you land the job? Like just apply on LinkedIn, did the interview get the job, or any specific process or strategy which you followed?
I think for Mckinsey specifically, what I had done was what really helps is I had applied to the actual company website, McKinsey careers, everything. And when I had applied, I think I had taken the job posting and I had seen what were the keywords being repeated a lot in that specific. And I think looking at also what positions are being offered and which are most relevant to me, not applying to every single position which is available there. A lot of companies, I know Facebook only allows 3 months.
Yeah, I think
Microsoft,
Facebook,
I don't
Google,
think,
Apple, these all companies, only 3 applications per
yeah.
year.
I'm not sure about Apple, but I know that Google and Facebook, sorry, Meta, not Facebook, Google and Meta both only allow
Yeah.
like 3 applications for like a good amount of time. And McKinsey also allows only 5 for a good amount of time. And like, so with McKinsey, I had applied to only 3 and I didn't apply for all the 5 too. I had gone through the different like postings there and seen which were more relevant to me, because you will increase your chance of actually go through the posting
Yeah.
if you're really interested in the company. And I think when I went through the posting, I saw that a lot of words being repeated, and I saw my resume and whether those words were being mentioned in my resume or not. And I kind of matched my resume and added those words that were missing. I think curating my resume a little bit more towards it. I was also really passionate. Like for certain, I did it for certain companies like McKinsey, Deloitte, Accenture, and even Google and Microsoft and all the tech companies. I was focusing a lot on those. So that time I did curate my resume according to the posting there a lot. And I think that's probably like the strategy which I did. when it came to the interview process itself, the interview process for Mckinsey works in like two different ways.
Okay.
I had a very different process from the typical process of what people usually have. So when you, like the typical process that you, let's say you get you get a call from the recruiter or like you get an email. The first step is usually a game which you play, which is called Solve. I have never played that game.
Okay.
So that game is usually used to like find the, like it's a consulting game. I don't know how it works.
Okay.
Because I had a different version. I had to give like a case study pass fail test essentially. So I gave the case study pass fail test, which was my version of the game, but that was over the phone and everything. And once those are done for respectively whichever you're going, the next rounds are the same. Basically, you have the first round, which is consisting of two different people, so half an hour each, so 1 hour each. So the first half hour of that 1 hour is a personal interview where they kind of get to know you and stuff. Second half is the case study interview again. And you do the same process with two different people.
Okay.
And once hopefully you pass through that, you go to the next round, which is the same thing but with senior level people essentially. So I think Mckinsey is really different in terms of getting the case studies done from other like consulting companies, because they really, really emphasize on actually getting you to the next round, because you have a lot of coaching in the middle.
Yeah.
I was working with someone who's also interviewing for the same role, and they really encourage that if you're interviewing for the same, like similar or interviewing at Mckinsey, practice with each other, just because if you have a case study partner, you're going to be able to talk things out better. And we had a lot of lectures and examples from Mckinsey, so we were able to practice a lot. But in general, yeah, Mckinsey is pretty big on like, they will help you out once you reach the, like, if let's say if you've gotten the interview, they will help you out a lot to get to the next round. You just have to make the best use of that help. I think that's what I would say.
Got it.
Whatever resources you're getting, use them.
Okay. So like, was the interview too technical or just like a case study business type of interview?
I would say the case study is more problem solving based. So they actually want to see like how you solve problems and how you would approach the problem. But there was no technical questions asked. We had math. We had to do some math calculations and stuff. And we weren't allowed to use the calculator. But it's pretty simple. Nothing too complicated, I would say. And it's like stuff which we've probably done in our daily lives, and like how we would approach like solving a business problem essentially.
Yeah.
And you can actually still see examples on the careers website of Mckinsey. Like if you go there and see case study examples, you'll see like 7 examples on that page.
Got it.
So if you're really interested in case studies, I would definitely check those out. But and if you're trying to, in general, for cases interviews for most consulting companies, if you're trying to find more examples on Google, type like different colleges, like there's Yale, Harvard, Columbia. Type the consulting club books, and usually those consulting club books have a lot of examples when it comes to case studies.
Yeah.
I think that's what me and the partner who I was working with, we had used a lot of those for getting more examples, because essentially you want to practice as much as you can. And we used to practice like pretty much every day in the night, and just so we used to do like one case together, and then she used to do one case. I used to like grade her essentially, and then she used to do the same for me. I used to do the case and she used to grade me. So we're kind of helping each other out. So minimum of 3 cases every day.
Got it.
And my process was very sped up because I had another offer from another company. So essentially I told Mckinsey, and then it sped up my process a lot. So my process was very sped up, and I finished my interviews in a matter of like a week and a half, as opposed to which is the typical month or like month and a half people typically do. So I think that's another good thing which I would say is like, let's say if you get another offer, communicate that to the company, because it's, if you're really passionate about the other company, they will possibly try to help you out, because they're also investing time in you. They don't want to waste time either. So communicate whatever's happening with each of the recruiters, I would say. I think that's being open and honest the entire time. I think that's pretty much it.
Got it. So like, did you have only offer from Mckinsey or any other companies?
So I had an offer from PwC and the Goldman Sachs and Mckinsey.
Okay. And like, why did you choose Mckinsey like at the end?
I think there's a bunch of different factors. I would say the company itself was a huge factor. And I think the way, like also the recruiting process, how that went for me was pretty big. Like the way, so I had, during interviewing, you meet a lot of people who work at the company, right? And who do you picture yourself working with in the future, actually? I think that's a huge thing which I think you would consider. And also just like the culture of it and and also the role. So I would say the PwC and Goldman Sachs are a little bit more financial based. I like finance, but I would say I'm more passionate about technology. So kind of the technology piece was coming in with Mckinsey, and I think that's where I saw myself fitting in more.
Got it.
And also I like the people a lot, and I still like, I mean, I'm working with a lot of people I interviewed with, which I'm very lucky, and a lot of them are really like amazing individuals, and I'm very excited to work with them.
Yeah.
So whenever you talk to these people, you'll definitely learn a lot from them. And McKinsey is really big on learning. Like they really want you to learn.
Mhm.
Like learning is an endless process pretty much. So I think that's what I would say in that case.
Got it. So like this your journey from like starting till the end, like it's very, very inspiring. And I just wanted to ask you, like, any last tips you want to give for like students coming to the US for masters or undergraduation, like which
Yeah,
they should follow, or any advice from you personal, academic, it can be anything.
I think from advice, like oh, that's a tough question,
Yeah.
but I think advice, my biggest advice would be open in terms of like experiences and also just learning. Over here, learning is a very different, like people teach, like professors here teach very differently from like other countries for sure. Like you might have noticed that professors over here are way more casual
Cooler.
with you, and they actually like, yeah, they're like it's not like in India, like at least when I was in CBSE, they used to be like, okay, you need to study all of
Yeah.
this curriculum by tomorrow, and you're going to be tested on all
Yeah.
of this. And the way of testing is also very different. So, and I think the adjustment period is not easy because it's a change, and no, change is not easy always. So being open to change, I think, is the biggest thing because, and over here, at least in California, the quarter system is very fast paced. So you need to keep in
Yeah.
track of what's going on every single time. Like I think what really helped me was keeping organized. So I was, as I mentioned, I was on the dance team. So like keeping myself organized was something really important because I had to get all my assignments done every day by 9 p.m. or I'm not going to get to do it later on because once I get 1 a.m. home, I'm not going to be able
Yeah.
to work. So you have to plan your day way in advance. And even in master's degree, like probably you've seen MSDS also, there's a lot of classes and assignments going
Yeah.
on.
A lot.
You have to organize yourself really
Yeah.
well. So I think planning yourself out, planning something, being very systematic with your work. Let's say for me, always like every week, I always had a checklist of what I needed to get done that way. And I used to be a little all over the place in terms of like what I'm doing at the time. Like if I'm like interested, okay, I'm like working on this one assignment, I get bored of it. Okay, I'll switch to the next one. I'll come back to this later. But if I don't have the liberty of switching to the other assignment, then I won't switch. But I think being very like just trying to get the task done, like if you have it in one place, and for me, it really satisfied me when I should like take on some, like when I should take a mark on like one assignment is done. So, and don't just do it for the sake of doing it. Do it because you actually have to learn.
Yeah.
You're not paying your tuition for just getting the grade. Like you can get the, like everyone can get it. Like people can get a good grade easily, but make like you're spending your money on so much tuition and stuff to actually learn. So don't actually just like do it for the sake of
Yeah.
it. Actually learn
Yeah.
and listen to the professor and ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing I would say. Um, because the professors are there to teach you. That's their job, and they want to teach you as well because they're passionate about the job. So go like I think one thing I think which I did in grad, which I regretted not doing in undergrad, is going to office hours. So undergrad, I never went to office hours
Yeah.
because I was like, oh, I can do this on my own. And I mean that was fine too, but like that's someone's like that was a personal preference at the time. But when I came to grad, I just realized the impact of what I can do when I talk to a professor individually and how they can explain things to catering to me, like specifically solving my
Yeah.
doubts when I had some. So going to officers and actually talking to them, you realize that they're also like pretty much like they also pretty much like us in many ways, and they want to help
Yeah.
you out. So I think being open and honest is pretty good. And I think thank you for again inviting me to this. I actually have a podcast of my own too, which we haven't done in a year
That's
now.
great. What's the name? I'll surely follow it.
It's called, we haven't posted in 1 year. Hopefully, we're on a hiatus right now. Hopefully, we should be back soon. It's called Leaving Footprints Podcast. Me and my actually, it was a side project which me and my friend from my master's program we started together.
Okay.
And what we did was we similar to you, we were interviewing people from like different careers. We had like a pastry chef on, we had a dancer on, and then we had like data scientists. So we were pretty much getting everyone just talking to them about like their lives and stuff. But we have been on a hiatus for a year because both of us gotten really busy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like we're very like my podcast co-host and I are very close friends, but we talk all the time. But we realize we don't like put too much effort into the
Yeah.
podcast anymore because we're so busy now. So hopefully we are hoping to get it started again in the next month or so. But it's a really good initiative which you've taken, and I think it's a great opportunity which you're doing even for yourself right now because I'm pretty sure when you talk to different people, you're networking as well. So great job on that too.
Great. So thank you so much like for your time today, Ankit. And do you mind if I put your LinkedIn in the description? Like people can reach out to you regarding the MSBA program?
yeah, they can reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm usually happy to set up a call whenever needed. So LinkedIn is, I would say, the best place to reach out to me. Yeah, I think LinkedIn is pretty much the best place, and I'll be happy to help.
Sure, I'm looking forward to your like podcast when you will be posting it.
You will be back to it.
Yeah, and yeah, like thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it, and all the best in your job, and like hopefully I'll meet you soon.
Thank you so much, Rijul. Have
Great,
a good day.
thank you. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Bye.